Welcome to the Fort Collins Fellows Podcast, from Colorado State University to New Belgium Brewery, and the hundreds of miles of hiking and biking trails. Fort Collins has earned its well-deserved reputation as one of the top places to live in the United States. Join the fellas as they uncover the stories, places, and people that make Fort Collins so extraordinary.
Gentlemen, how are we doing today? Patrick, Clyde, good to see you guys.
You as well.
Well, we got a good episode today. We're excited. I'm going to do a proper introduction for our guest here. We have with us Clyde Wood. Clyde is the Vice President of Commercial and Mixed Use for McWhinney. He's in charge of making Midtown Fort Collins big and beautiful all over again, Clyde. So the pressure is on.
All over again? That implies that it was big and beautiful.
Well, maybe when I was in high school. But for our listeners and viewers, Clyde Wood, we're thrilled to have him on. He is in charge of developing and really bringing back the whole Midtown, the Foothills Mall, which I know Patrick and I grew up in Fort Collins, and I remember sneaking out of high school and going over to the food court when I was a kid, and it's crazy how much it's changed, and it definitely does need some love. And so we're thrilled to have Clyde join us today. Clyde, thank you so much for being with us, buddy. We really appreciate it.
Great to be here with the Fort Collins fellows.
Yeah, that's right. So we were joking a couple of days ago, and I kind of hinted at what my first question was going to be as we start this conversation. But I was kind of doing some research here the last few days, and you guys have been in what's called, I guess, the listen first phase, right? I mean, you guys kind of took this over a couple of years ago, and I want to kind of approach this conversation with, Patrick and I are in the real estate business here in town, so we know a little bit of what's going on, but I really want to just kind of approach it where somebody goes, hey, we know something's happening with the Foothills Mall. We know McWhinney's there, but we don't know anything else than that. And so we're a few years into you guys kind of taking over. You guys are in the listening phase. And Clyde, where are we right now? Like, I guess my question is, for those out there is like, when are we going to be able to drive down College and obviously see some, shovels in the ground? And if you don't know the answer, just make an answer up. It's all right.
Well, I think I was waiting for the golf analogy.
Oh, okay. Here's the golf analogy I had, Clyde, was we have 18 holes of golf. Where are we in the round of golf? Are we making the turn? Are we in the middle of the front nine, middle of the back nine? What hole are we on, Clyde?
Yeah, I'd say we just kind of
hold up to the parking lot.
No, we just teed off.
Okay, good. No, that's fair. That's fair enough.
We just teed off. We bought this mall in the summer of 2021, so 2 years ago, kind of in the depths of COVID.
Yep.
When, retail was really considered, the
dead in the water.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing, kind of fast forward 2 years to now, and retail is actually, kind of emerging from COVID as one of the preferred real estate asset classes, right? At least well-located retail. But, really from the day we bought it, we spent the first, I'd call it year, really doing nothing but listening. We launched into an outreach campaign to really understand from the community how they felt about the mall. I think it's fairly well documented that the mall that went through this, $300 million plus renovation 9 and 10 years ago has fallen, well short of expectations, certainly expectations the city had for it. And so we knew that going in, and our thought was, well, we have no interest in buying a struggling lot, right?
Right.
We kind of saw it as this is 62 acres of amazing real estate along College Avenue in the heart of Midtown Fort Collins. This is enough critical mass that we can do something special here. And so, I say we kind of just teed off because we spent the first year really doing a ton of outreach. We, talked to everybody, all the kind of groups in town, the chamber, there's a business improvement district. City, we hosted a series of town halls where we invited the community to come and tell us what they thought about the mall, what's working, what's not, what they like, what they don't like. And from there, after, surveys in the field, market research reports, after we gathered all that information, feedback, then we actually sat down and started drawing. And okay, based on what we heard, what do we think this can become so that it finally becomes something the community can be proud of and that is economically sustainable long-term, right? So, I'd say, we've really only been in the design phase, the visioning phase for probably a year. And I say we just teed off because in April is when we officially launched our entitlement process with the city. We submitted for PDR, it's called the Preliminary Design Review. It's basically the first official application to the city, at a concept level to get the city's initial thoughts and responses on our vision. And so that's why I say we kind of just teed off because, all right, now we're in the game. We presented a vision. The community's weighed in. The city's given us their initial response. But, that entitlement process is, it's hard to predict, but we think that'll be a good 12, 18 months of this public review process. And there will still be many more opportunities for the community to weigh in before, our entitlement requests are heard and decisions are made.
Well, I was going to ask you, how long is this round of golf going to take? And it sounds like, a few years. So that's all right. But hey, it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I would think
that's good. That's good for people to know, right?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that the feedback we've gotten from the community is fairly enthusiastic. There's always going to be, certain constituents that are skeptical. But, I think based on the general enthusiasm we've heard and the initial response from the folks at the city, there seems to be alignment in our vision and what the city wants to see for this site. So anything can happen in a very public process like this, especially a project that's going to have this amount of, eyes on it. And it's, there's nothing under the radar about this project, right? So it's going to be very public. And we're hoping that by, maybe fall of next year, we will have secured our entitlements and then hope to start, actually moving dirt and making physical improvements by the beginning of 2025. So that's the rough targeted timeline.
I love it.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but like I'd be shocked right now, especially with what your initial plans are. They're absolutely gorgeous, and the city would be so lucky to have what's currently proposed go on there. Because, and again, correct me if I'm wrong and help me understand, maybe let's rewind a little bit, because you guys bought this property for cents on the dollar. If you could assume that they did in fact build this for $350-400 million, and you guys bought it, I believe, through foreclosure for $40-some-odd million, and you could have
$45 million is the number. Is that right, Clyde?
That's right.
And you could have come in here, because my personal opinion was some of these rents were just, Fort Collins is still our capacity is just not necessarily there to be able to afford, maybe it's $30 triple net plus, or $30 plus $12 to $16 triple nets, and we just don't have enough foot traffic to go through as many stores to make those numbers work. And so you could have, at that price point that you bought it, just cut rents and put in, just not shady, but just not world-class retailers and establishments, and paid your bills, because you guys still have property taxes to pay. You guys still have a lot of utilities and operational costs to go on. And so it's all I'm seeing is how freaking lucky is Fort Collins that we have a local in McQuinney's taking the reins and not just being a vampire and saying, not that they would put their name on a product like that per se, but somebody could have, from my perspective, and just slice rents, cash flow like crazy, and fill the place up with mismatched, tenants, rather than, hey, this is an opportunity of 62 acres. Let's make this the absolute gem of Fort Collins and dump in $300+ million.
Yeah, I'd say that's right. I mean, at McWhinney, we don't know how to do anything but a world-class first-class project. And the Foothills Mall, it's kind of a tale of two cities, or two pieces of the mall, rather, where you have the College Avenue shops, the stuff that was new, that was built, the last time around. It actually performs fairly well.
Yeah, there's some of the most successful pieces of commercial property, I think, in town.
Yeah, you got, Torchy's and Lululemon and Athleta and Nordstrom Rack and Trumbull, and that stuff does real well. It's the interior mall that has really struggled. And, even if we thought about doing that, Patrick, okay, there's the interior of the mall is 50% vacant. Can we slam in some, pot dispensaries and nail salons? Or
I mean, seriously.
Honestly, I think the previous administration, the owner, Alberta, I don't think you give that space away, because I call it's a zombie mall walking, where if something transformative isn't done, it will ultimately truly die, because the interior mall, for better or worse, has become an obsolete product type. Unless you are Cherry Creek Mall, or you're in a gateway city like LA or New York, your first class A+ malls still do well. But the adage we've had in the history is, if you're not an A, you're an F. There's no such thing as a B or C class mall anymore. If you're not a prime mall, you're dead. And it's just because people shop differently now, and people don't want to go into an interior mall and buy clothes, like they used to do 20, 30, 40 years ago, like you guys did it when we were youngsters around here.
Hey, you try to say.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm on the wrong side of 40 now. So anyways. But Clyde, you could say the same thing too about just general office space. Like B's and C's are done. Unless you got an A building or an A mall, you're an F. I think
exactly right.
Yeah.
So even if we wanted to do that, can we just kind of squeeze whatever little cash flow out of this thing? That's not a sustainable long-term business plan. That's let's just kind of, tread water until we squeezed everything we can out of this thing, and it just ultimately dies. But that was, we didn't even really think about that. That would not be something we would do. There are groups out there that do that. And you can buy something at at pennies on the dollar and just kind of squeeze whatever you can out of it, get your money back, and then dump it. That business plan does exist out there.
And well, could you imagine if somebody did that with this, and it's the 62 acres in the middle of Fort Collins, and some outside group saw an opportunity and did that? Like, I mean, if I'm the city, like, whatever you guys need, McQuinney, go ahead and let's do this.
And that kind of leads me to my question, Clyde. So we've had, Jenny Arndt on the podcast. She was a great guest. Patrick and I loved her. And she was really upfront about, we got to get better at getting stuff through the pipeline. There shouldn't need to be 15 signatures before it gets to my desk. I mean, and we really appreciate her honesty. So how has it been working with the city, Clyde? I mean, whether it's red tape or getting approvals, what's your overall experience on a project like this working with the city of Fort Collins?
Well, we're fairly early on.
Okay.
And, I've heard that criticism of the city from others. And I mean, I'll tell you, every interaction I've had with the city, with council members, with Mayor Arndt, with city staff, has been nothing but great, met with enthusiasm. How can we help? And again, I think it's a reflection of, one, we've done our homework. We've, unilaterally decided that we're going to be front and center with our vision. We're going to bring the community in, hear what they want, and respond accordingly. So we've talked to, I've had, I don't know how many meetings I've had, or how many groups I've talked in front of already. And then the other thing is, I think our vision aligns with what the city wants to see for this site. This isn't a huge stadium situation where we're looking at,
right.
We're in, on the outskirts of the city. We're jeopardizing open space. This is an infill site. This is as close to a transit-oriented development site as Fort Collins has. Fort Collins is still a fairly suburban type city outside of Old Town. But, we're near the Max line. There's a station that's Swallow. We're along College Avenue. I think the city has always viewed this site as, here's potential for actually, moving the needle on creating a walkable mixed-use district and try to get people out of their cars, onto their bikes, onto their feet. Because even right now, you look at the mall, it's a very kind of traditional suburban prototype, right? It's a single-use, single-story mall. And we know from our research that over 99% of the people who go there by car. But if we can transform this into something with a mix of uses, with housing, office, and retail, and restaurants, and civic uses, you co-locate all those different uses together and create an opportunity to for people to walk and bike and run their errands by foot and not get in their car for everything. I think that vision aligns with what the city is hoping to see here too. So because of that alignment of vision and city goals, I think that's why our plan has so far been fairly well received. So I have not experienced the red tape or long timelines.
That's great to hear. That's great, Doug.
Again, we're early on, so I'm sure there will be some of that, and then there's always going to be a project of this size and magnitude and complexity. We're going to have some tough conversations with various city departments, but I think it doesn't seem daunting, right?
Yeah, everybody has the same goal at the end, right? They want to get this and get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have done all your homework and everything as far as like knowing all of these things happening in the pipeline, but Kmart that is now going to be King Soopers, the apartment complexes that are going to be right down the road from you guys, the beautification of Midtown along College Avenue between Drake and Boardwalk. I mean, there's just so many cool things that's happening in Midtown Fort Collins that's transforming it. And then this is just like not the cherry on top. I think this is the cake. The other things are the cherry on top, but I think this is absolutely going to transform, Midtown and makes all those neighborhoods see what was promised to them a decade ago.
That's the goal.
So I want to go into, I got and I encourage anybody who's listening and watching this to go online and look at these drawings that you guys have for what you're working on. And I kind of got a map up here in front of me, and I just kind of want to go through, so people get an idea of the space that we're talking about. You guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like Nordstrom's Rack, Ulta, those in that corner, that's not part of the development, right?
Correct. That stuff will remain largely untouched. Landscaping improvements and
okay,
or something like that, make better connection to the primary site. But yeah, all that stuff stays the way it is.
Got it. And then you've got obviously the movie theater. That's not going anywhere. Dick's Sporting Goods. Looks like that's staying right now. Obviously, it could change
right now. Dick's, they have a long-term lease.
Okay.
In their place. They do have some other concepts that we're in, very preliminary conversations about, but for now we are assuming Dick's stays or in its current configuration.
Obviously we got the parking garage there. I think is that technically owned by the city of Fort Collins? Did I read?
Owned by the Metro District.
Oh, the Metro District. That's right.
Metro District owns the parking structure and all the surface parking lots.
Yeah, that's right. I read that. And then so you kind of put that aside. Now it gets fun. Now you look at these drawings and it really, like, you guys are going to create walkways and pathways, like you said, much more of a walking, biking, that accessibility be a lot easier. So you can, get that 99% of people going there with cars, hopefully get that number down. But I love it. I mean, Clyde, it's the open spaces. And I did read that you guys are going to kind of expand the grassy area there where they're doing concerts and everything like that. That's still kind of in the plans, it looks like.
For sure. Yeah, I think we are, right now it is interior space surrounded by seas of asphalt, right?
Right. It sounds like Los Angeles. Bring us back to our LA days.
And so our goal is, our plan right now is almost tripling the amount of outdoor landscape usable space. And, the goal is really to lean into this being a place where the community to gather and get it. So I think the last time around, that courtyard that they did with the restaurants and Cinemark, that was a modest attempt at creating a place, right? And actually, certainly since we've taken over, on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights during the summer, that place is broken. Yeah.
But nobody goes into the mall. Like everybody stops right there.
Exists in spite of the mall there. Yeah. And so I think our goal is to take that concept and, times 10. right? And first of all, we're going to totally redo that area, but then also expand the zone that is for pedestrians only and for landscaping. And we have, we kind of have this concept of a trail system that winds its way through the site, and really dramatically increase the opportunities for just hanging out, bring your dog, have a beer, watch a concert. And instead of just being confined to that one area, that's going to be something that you'll find throughout the site. And you'll probably notice that half of the interior mall, you may see on the drawings, I know this is more of an audio experience here listening, but you can picture the interior of the mall. It's on that axis that kind of goes from the southwest to the northeast. So we're going to keep half of it and start and really turn it inside out and take it from an interior, this old school interior mall experience into an open air, fresh air, outdoor experience. And I know, that may raise the eyebrow of some folks here because they're like, well, we're in northern Colorado, so what are you going to do during the winter? And look, as a Californian.
You went your undergrad at Syracuse. I saw that. So yeah, East Coast.
No, that's right. Yeah, you bet. I've kind of wondered about it too. It's like, what do we do during the winter? But I think that there's one thing we know for sure is that this interior mall does not work. It's generic. People don't want to be there. It feels weird. It's like a ghost town if you go in there. And there's really
a couple of months ago, it was weird. Yeah, it was weird.
It's like, this kind of dystopian feeling when you're, it's very cavernous, but when there's not many people in there, it just, it's not a nice feeling, not a place to be. So I think we just have to lean into the idea that northern Coloradoans are hardy folk, and there will be some snow days.
Tons.
But even if it's 45 degrees outside, but it's sunny, it's comfortable to be outside. And I think there's certain strategies to make, outdoor areas feel comfortable throughout the seasons. And we're we don't pretend to know all the answers right now, but it's something we're looking into, radiant heating and how we heat a place so that it's comfortable to walk. And, shade during the summer, I think is almost more important than how do you make it warm during the winter, because the sun here is pretty intense. So we are well aware of all the challenges that seasonality presents in a district like this, but I think it's the right thing to do we have to create an experience that feels good year round. And I think the way to do that is with the outdoors and with nature, and we'll just kind of introduce strategies to make it as comfortable as possible if there's intense weather.
Okay, I've got one for you, and if you already have, I don't think it's real. I have no idea. But if McQuinney sat down around the table at their meeting that is discussing the wish list of their most desired tenants to be here, who are some of the names on the top of that list that you're going to try to bring to Fort Collins?
I was anticipating this question, and you're going to be disappointed with the answer.
Pretend you haven't signed anything or have no NDA.
Yeah, that's right.
I can tell you, in our business, as you guys probably know, we talk about a merchandising mix, right? So what is the vision for the retail? Because, what the last administration did was, let's just take anyone who will pay rent, right? And that's just that's a recipe for failure. Or and we've asked this question to community members. Yeah, people would love to see, Williams-Sonoma come to Fort Collins, and we've heard the Cheesecake Factory a number of times, and Apple, yeah. So if we were to wave our magic wand, sure, those guys would be on the list, but. I think we all have to recognize that Fort Collins is 175,000 people, and the trade area may be slightly larger, but even if you paid them instead of them paying rent, those types of tenants are not going to come.
You got a lot of crime people right now, a lot of teary-eyed individuals, just breaking dreams.
Is it just because it's not big enough for a Williams?
No, it's absolutely true.
Yeah,
really.
They have their parameters. They have X amount of people, radius of X amount of people, and we just don't put the box. Yeah.
So, but when we look at okay, why did the mall fail? And why is this time going to be different? That's we get that question a lot. And so let's start with why did the mall fail? Well, one, there's just too much retail there. There's 662,000 feet of retail. It's too much for this market to support.
I saw that Macy's was 128,000 just on its own.
Yeah. And so one thing we know for sure is we have to right size the amount of retail for this market. And so our plan, retail will still be, front and center when we're done. It'll still be a compelling shopping district, but we'd rather have 2/3 of the amount of retail that is full and performing than the amount of retail that's there and half of the storefronts are vacant, right? So right-sizing the amount of retail is one of the big moves. And so we're going from about 660,000 to our plan has about 450. So about a 30% reduction in the overall square footage of retail. A good portion of that, like half of that, is Macy's. So Macy's is gone. We knew that was likely to happen. They had a lease that was ending in March of this year. And, I don't know when the last time either of you guys had walked in that Macy's, but I said
a vampire tenant. I mean, that place looked rough.
I challenge you to find a human in there, customer or employee, right? So, and in the sales, supported that. Their sales were, in the double digits a foot, like $60 a foot a year. And, for those who are not in real estate, here's another comparison. Lululemon does over $1,600 a foot in annual sales.
Oh my!
Macy's was around $60 a foot. They're basically paying no rent. And, we did talk to them like if they wanted to stay a little bit longer because we're not quite ready to go. And they said, well, we'll stay, but you're going to pay us. And we're like, that's okay.
It's a ghost town already.
Yeah. So they weren't really adding anything. It's not Macy's fault. This is the fate of department stores, across America. And there's really no scenario where there's a tenant that size that can backfill a box that large. At least any type of tenant that I think people would want to see. Yeah, we could probably backfill with a Amazon last mile distribution center, but I don't think anyone would want to see that.
Or have that traffic in their backyard.
Yeah. So that box comes down and then the other half of the interior mall comes down. And that, really those are the two moves to right size the amount of retail. So then, okay, so now what do we do with the retail that's remaining and the new retail that we build? And I can't talk about specific tenants, but the merchandising mix, the idea, and actually our partner Prism, who's a joint venture partner, and they are retail experts. They're based in California, and probably Sten Parton, who's the president of Prism, would be able to talk more intelligently about the future retail mix than I do. But I would say our theme is adventure retail. So it's about right-sizing the amount of retail and then bringing in retail that resonates with this market. And this one, Northern Colorado is all about outdoor adventure. So you could probably think of some of the brands that we may have in mind, the ones that focus on outdoor adventure. Those type of tenants is going to be certainly a target. And then also food and beverage and entertainment. The key with retail now is not about stores that you pull up, go in and buy a shirt, right? That's not what people do really anymore. It's about creating an experience. And so the goal is to make this such a compelling experience, such an irresistible experience that people just want to say, let's go to Foothills for the day or for the night, and we'll figure out what to do once we're there. And we go to multiple places. And so it's food, definitely elevating the food and beverage options that are there. One of the biggest things we heard from the city when we were doing all of our outreach is Midtown is a little bit of a food desert. I think we've actually already brought in a couple new food concepts that are out in the College Avenue shops like
Kava
and Modern Market and Native Foods, but really leaning into food and beverage as a driver, entertainment options, and make it a place to go. There'd be more, you hear the term experiential retail, not just stores to buy merchandise in. So that kind of gives you an indication of the, kind of directionally where we're headed, but it's too early to talk about specific tenants.
But you're also, let's talk a little bit about the residential side of things, Clyde. So you're going to be bringing, well, first of all, I got to ask, are the Clyde apartments named after you?
I think you're missing one letter in that. It's the cycle apartment.
Oh, it was like, oh my God.
I thought it was at Clyde. Oh my God, I got that side. Yeah, I was like, is there?
Each street named after one of the VPs of McClenny.
I was like, wow, that's a bold play right there by McClenny. Well, I was like, I know he just got to town a couple years ago, but he's really making his mark. That's impressive.
Yeah, no,
Cycled apartments.
Existed. Those were built before I got here.
But didn't McWhinney do those?
Yes, McWhinney built.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys did those, and then you guys, the additional multifamily townhomes, are those going to kind of wrap around the north side?
Yes.
Okay.
So the other big move is creating room to introduce a new residential district. And that means a wide range of different housing types. So, rental flats, townhomes, condos, brownstones, combination of stuff that would be for rent and for sale.
Yeah.
I think that's, again, one of the big opportunities with this site is how do we densify the site to create more foot traffic to help serve the retail, but then creating an ecosystem, right? The individual buildings, would be great on a standalone basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's, kind of one of those things where the sum, what is the total is greater than the sum of its parts or whatever that phrase is.
Yeah.
But it's,
Cycle, Clyde apartments. We're all the same for that thing.
The retail, will thrive if it has, more people living next to it. The residential will succeed because it's sitting, right next to all these amenities that you can walk to and stores, and you can run your errands and go eat dinner. We do have an office component that is, I describe that as probably the most aspirational part of the project because, the office market is,
coming back.
But we have a theory there, and we can talk about that in a second. But yeah, the goal with the residential area is to bring in a wide range of housing types at different price points to, be able to offer something from first-time home buyers to renters to, empty nesters that sell their, that don't want the maintenance of the yard anymore, want to live in a new kind of cool, walkable environment. And so, yeah, that's kind of the theory behind the residential district.
Do you have a number on that? Like how many units again?
The material we've put out there says, up to 750 new units.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to get there.
Okay.
I think we'll end up falling short of that. And that number is going to probably evolve as we go through the process and, that as the housing market and interest rates and all that stuff evolves. But
on water taps.
Yeah. What's that?
Water taps.
Yeah. That's a new thing that is just,
I'm sure
we are
knocked you offside your head. Yeah.
Yeah. We are very concerned about because, on the one hand, everyone talks about, I don't know if they call it housing crisis, but an affordability crisis in Fort Collins, and talk about one way to just
3 times more expensive.
Yeah. If you would really want to have a chilling effect on the construction of new homes and apartments, that would be a way to do it, to triple the tap fees or the water rights fees. So we're very focused on that and going to be vocal because something like that could dramatically change this whole project.
Sure.
Yeah. What you were talking about,
but they're just in the early, the initial phase of discussion over that. So we need to make sure, and I would encourage your listeners to make city council and the city, know that could have a significant chilling effect on residential development.
Honestly, I do a live recording every Wednesday night, and that's why I did it. Is because when the land use code changed, I was gonna just give you guys props. City of Fort Collins, City Council needs to take a page out of you guys' book because when they just plopped the land use code seemingly on our plates, saying here we're doing this, we just voted it in. Everyone's like, wait, what? Whereas you guys have taken the time to do the outreach, extensive outreach. And, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think people being informed, that's what this podcast is about. So definitely need to be vocal.
Is there any thoughts about changing the name, or is Foothills, is that?
That's a great question, Murph. I will tell you, we went through a significant process with marketing folks who are way smarter than me in that type of stuff. And, we looked at different names and, consider them. And at the end of the day, we came back to Foothills. And, I think our ultimate feeling was that people know it. The term Foothills has been around here forever. Now it comes with a lot of baggage because of the iterations that the mall has gone through, but still, I think we would rather change in people's minds the definition of what Foothills means than try to come up with, some newfangled name.
Almost like instead of Foothills Mall, it's like the Foothills.
Yeah, we're definitely dropping them all.
Yeah, not a mall. The Foothills experience, or the foot,
there you go.
Whatever it is.
Let's just call it Foothills.
Foothills. Okay.
Down. Just
come on.
Ooh, I like it. Get me a little hashtag instead of an H. Foot #hills.
Yeah.
There you go. Clyde, you were mentioning something about commercial or business space. I would love your thoughts on that. You were talking about you would love to bring in some commercial, or I should say just office space.
Yeah, that's another eyebrow raiser in a market like this. Like, why would you build new office space when employers are struggling getting people to come back to the office, and there's vacancy all over. And our theory is this: that currently in Fort Collins, where full-scale new office space hasn't been built in years in Fort Collins, right? And that's because it doesn't make any financial sense to do it, right? The rents don't support construction for new office. And so really what you have is, in Old Town, you have smaller, older buildings so you have the walkability of being in Old Town, which is great. But they're older buildings, they're small, it's not, it's Class B, Class C office space. And then you go down to Harmony and you have more of your traditional, headquarters and your sprawling campuses, but nothing to walk to, right? You drive your car there and then you leave at night. What Fort Collins doesn't have is something that checks all those boxes, which is brand new Class A office space in a dynamic, walkable environment. And so our theory is that if we create brand new Class A office space, leading edge of sustainability, our goal of the office is LEED Platinum. It's hard to achieve LEED Platinum. Maybe we end up at LEED Gold, but certainly leading with sustainability, and put it down in an environment that we are attempting to create here, where you can walk downstairs and have access to 20 different lunch spots. That doesn't exist in Fort Collins. And if we build it, is that a compelling enough story that someone would step up and be there? And, I call it the most aspirational part, because we won't do this on a purely speculative basis. But I think we're going to design it, and we're going to go out to the market and see if our story resonates, and find an acre user that is willing to sign on. Because yes, we buy the vision. If we're here, we know that this place will be so irresistible that our employees will want to come back to the office, that place. And if we can't find that anchor tenant, then we probably won't do it. But it's not, the success of the project doesn't rely on this office component. But even if we can only break even on the office component from a financial standpoint, having those people there during the week, on a weekday, during the day, to generate foot traffic to help support the retail, it still may be accretive to the project. And it goes back to this concept of an ecosystem, where each component doesn't, there's going to be certain loss leaders, and there are going to be certain places that, that pay the bill. And at the end of the day, if they all work together and the whole project works on an overall basis, that's what we're going for. So we think the office component would really be a value add, the retail, because we're not worried about this place being packed, on a Thursday or Friday, Saturday night, right? It's a random Tuesday during the day. Who's going to be there? And if we can have those office workers, and we're also looking at different other, civic options. We're talking to the library district, approved school district, or, are there partnerships with CSU we can explore to bring other uses that can activate this district during the day, during a weekday? That's the goal.
Kind of remind me of like Council Tree. They got the mall, they have their library right there that for a long time, I didn't even know there was a library there.
Well, I think, I think that's also one of the issues with Council Tree is, the library, it's not front and center. You kind of have to know that it's there, and then portal around a corner. And I don't know if that, Front Range Village, that little main street they created, really goes far enough, to create a compelling shopping experience or compelling place to be. But a civic use like that could be an option for this office building.
Clyde, have you talked with Max Moss and the team over at Montava?
Yeah, love Max.
Max.
Have met together a few times, and I think what he's trying to do with Montava is fantastic.
I bring that up because he's trying to push this. Leave your car in the garage and walk and bike and be able to go grocery shopping and go to restaurants and go to a pharmacy and I hope Montava can get off the ground, but they're dealing with water rights as well. Same thing that we were talking about earlier. I'm a huge component. I know, I love going to the office. We're actually going to be moving over to 2900 South College again, and I would love to walk to restaurants and not having to get into my car to do that. So I hope you guys succeed in getting some of that office space going. Because I can just picture a good energy there on the middle of the week. A Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at lunchtime, that place is bustling. You got people going out of the office to go to lunch, and you have people that live there now that are going over to lunch. So, I hope it happens.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of that.
We're under no illusions. It's Fort Collins. People have cars.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to totally give up their cars. We need our cars to go to Horsetooth or the mountains on the weekend.
Yeah,
but can we make it, at least for a certain percentage of folks, more about car storage, where you need to have a place to have your car, but maybe we're not getting in it every single day to drive to the store or drive to work. Can we move the needle a little bit on daily use of cars? And that that's a huge driving force behind our master plan. Is today it is a very car-centric site, right? It's all about surface parking lots. How do we, make it the most convenient place to park your car, go in a store, get back in your car and leave? We want to flip that so that the car is de-emphasized and it all becomes about the pedestrian, the biker, and other modes of transportation, and put that front and center.
Well, that previous administration, that parking lot, my wife Chelsea was like, he goes, just redo the parking lot at least, because it's so confusing trying to get in and out of that place.
Yeah, we've heard that a lot. I don't know what Fort Collins' obsession with one-way diagonal parking aisles, where that comes from, but it makes it very confusing. And that's definitely part of the plan is, let's reconfigure these parking lots. Let's do 90-degree parking, aisles, two-way traffic, make it much more user-friendly to come and park and know where you're going.
Yeah. No, I love it. Do we anything else we need to hit on, Clyde? What do we miss? What anything that we should have asked that we didn't ask? Trying to go through all my notes here.
I'm sitting over here just excited. I know hurdles and but listening to it just gets me just fired up for what's Fort Collins is doing. And it's
going to be great.
Grateful for McQuinney's and yourself, Clyde.
I'm glad to hear it. And I think that's one of the things, that there are a fair number of bidders that pursued this when, back in 21, when there was actually a court-appointed receiver was tasked with selling the asset on behalf of the banks. And we are told, I don't know if that's true, we didn't necessarily offer the highest price, but we were local. I think, there will be certain, the name McWhinney is well known, and I'd like to think that the reputation was, were fairly well regarded. But anytime you're in development, certainly, working on public-private partnerships, that's always going to come with strong opinions. But I think, I work for McWhinney because we do it for the right reasons. We are only going to do it if we can do a first-class job and create a compelling place for people to go and hang out. And I think that together with, this is a very complex project with the Metro District and the existing bonds. And so the banks wanted to make sure that they transacted with a group that is local, that understands the market, understands the complexity, has experience with metro districts and all the other things that come with this project. And so, it's nice working for a group that is well received and has a reputation of doing things the right way. And I think that helped us in the bidding process.
People should know you guys did the Elizabeth Hotel, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, in Old Town Fort Collins. I'm trying to think.
Denver, the Union Station.
Union Station, I was going to say, gorgeous. And you guys are doing some stuff in Centerra as well, right?
Yeah. The whole master plan community of Centerra is McWhinney, and the baseline community and Broomfield is McWhinney.
Mm-hmm.
And Dairy Block, if you've ever been down there next to Coors Field in Lodo, I think that's definitely a flagship project where it's vertical mixed use, but that also is kind of celebrates this idea of creating an ecosystem, because it has retail, it has a hotel, it has office, and it's all these uses that kind of are seamless. If you walk through the ground floor, it's a very seamless experience, and which is very different kind of than the traditional prototype of development where most developers specialize in a single use, right? I'm a shopping center developer, so that's what I'm going to do. Or I'm a developer, that's what I'm going to do. Or an office building, and you end up with these silos, right? Versus McWhinney is somewhat unique, where we are product agnostic. We do it all, and so when we look at a project, we don't approach it from that singular perspective. We go like, and what's the combination of uses we can bring to the site to really make it a cool place to hang out?
Was there ever talk about putting in a hotel in the area?
There was, but then we ended up in the Marriott.
Oh, okay.
And I think, we look at that as the hospitality component of this. The challenge is it's actually not contiguous. The parcels don't connect. There's what sits in some office that sits in between. But I think definitely there are long-term plans to improve that hotel. And certainly as part of our master planning process, how do we create a better connection between the Marriott and Foothills? It's challenging though, because the front door of the Marriott is on the opposite side of the mall, or kind of turns it back to the mall. But
you feel like if you create that walking space, that openness, the people just naturally walk out the hotel and go, oh, what's over here? There's a nice path.
Yeah.
And, oh, there's 20 restaurants over here and shopping, and
so there's natural synergy there.
Right.
But physically, how do we make that connection stronger is something we're definitely studying.
I love it, buddy. I'm excited. I'm super excited.
We don't want to keep you too long, because I feel like we could talk about this for hours.
I know.
But one of the things that we finish off with at Fort Collins Fellows, and maybe you could just name the brewery that's going to be going in, at least from your drawings as far as the patio. But we finish off with, in Fort Collins, where the Fort Collins of beer, as Scott would say. What patio do you want to spend a Friday afternoon with, enjoying a cold beverage?
We have, aside from my own back deck, barbecue.
That's a great answer, but yes.
That's my happy place, right out there, and drinking a cold beer, barbecue, and something. They don't have a patio, but I do love the Gilded Goat. That's
the
Foothills.
Yeah.
They opened a new spot in Old Town.
I was there a couple weeks ago. The one in Old Town. Yeah. They got great beer.
You're at a time where I kind of post up during the day, and that would be my office. But you would think this place in a kind of a strip mall would be, not a super compelling place to hang out. But there's something about it that I just.
It's got a cool mezzanine. It's got a cool vibe. I feel you.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of, go ahead. Outdoors, Clyde. Outdoors.
Paddler's Pub is one of
really.
Oh, that's a first.
Yeah.
Had that,
that was on that Colorado article about top patios, was Paddler's Pub.
Yeah.
I mean, the spread that they have, and just being outdoors, and it's kind of funky, and you're near the river there. That's a fun place to hang out. So,
well, this is a typical Chris Murphy response here, and I laugh every time he says it. But I think it definitely holds true with you. As we get closer, maybe end of 2024, beginning 2025, getting you back on and kind of having maybe at that point we have a clear vision and some names to drop that you can't drop right now.
You took all the words out of my mouth. You took all the words out of my mouth right there.
I apologize.
No.
You guys are the Fort Collins fellas. You're used to, kind of finishing each other's sentences.
But by the way, tell your wife, we'd love, we support, if she wants to start a podcast with the ladies of Fort Collins, or I don't know, just Fort Collins fellas had a good ring to it.
This is a good ring. Fort Collins females. I don't know. Gotta have the alliteration there. Yeah.
So my wife was like, if you're gonna name this thing, you just gotta have Fort Collins in it. I don't care what you call it, but you gotta have Fort Collins in it so people could find it when they search for it. I'm like, all right.
Why did you go Fort Collins instead of FOCO?
FOCO's kind of
overdone.
I feel like locals to Fort Collins hear FOCO and you just kind of go, oh, what?
Yeah, I cringe at FOCO.
Yeah,
it's like being lazy.
Got NOCO,
right?
But yeah, locals don't really buy into those little acronyms, do they?
Not as much.
Or do we? I'm a local now. I've been here 4 years.
You basically
we has a local
3 years.
By the way, we got to give a shout out to Clyde's dad. So for those of you who don't know, all my years at LA Country Club, one of the all-time great members with Clyde Wood Sr., Clyde's dad, and that was a small world story years ago when you and I met, and I was wearing an LACC shirt. You're like, where'd you get that shirt? I was like, I worked there. And you're like, well, my dad's a member there.
That's nice for us, but I doubt any of your listeners care.
Nobody knows. That's why we had to at the very end. Yeah, they've already turned it off. They've checked out.
As soon as you said Los Angeles, they kind of do that.
That's right. We keep that at the very end of the podcast. Well, Clyde, thank you again. We appreciate it. And like Patrick said, we're going to have you back when we can start naming names. Yeah, people get excited. Cool.
I appreciate it. It was a good time.